You know, some people, they do the whole Zoom thing where they wear something professional up top and then they wear PJ pants because you can't see it out of frame. Well, they're better than me. I'm just doing Zoom all the way up. Like, I'm shooting in my PJs today. Channel, I made a video once where I talk about why I'm a homemaker / stay-at-home mom and why I love it and why I've chosen to do it. And one of the most common criticisms on that video is about my finances, which had nothing to do with the video. They go something like this. What are you going to do if your husband divorces you? Well, what if your husband passes away? What are you going to do then about your finances? How are you going to provide for your children? There's nothing honorable about taking such a risk. You get the gist of it. And honestly, I don't get a lot of hate on either of my channels. And if I do, they're usually pretty respectful. And even those kind of comments like those has some love in it. Let's be honest. They're really kind of just looking out for me. Maybe they could have said it nicer, but they really are. There is actually quite a lot to those comments that we're going to address today. What are you going to do if you want to be a stay-at-home mom? What are your finances going to look like? What kind of impacts is that going to have on you financially? And how can you prevent disaster from happening? Well, I know it sounds like it's going to be cynical, but trust me, this is a video you're not going to be sorry you watched till the end, because there's going to be so many tips here that I have implemented in my life on how to protect myself financially and how you can do so as well. This is Feminine Finance. Make sure you click like on this video to support my small channel, and also subscribe if finances and personal money saving and making tips is your cup of tea. Here you go. Handing the teacup to you. And let's start counting down the tips. The number one thing you want to do is to get what's called life insurance. Now, I know lots of you guys already have this, and that's great, you're smart. But if you don't have this, it's such a small fee each month, but it makes you be able to lay your head on your pillow and sleep like a baby every single night. Except for if you have a baby, then you definitely don't sleep like a baby, and your baby sleeps like a baby, you sleep like a mom. But you get what I'm saying. Life insurance basically just protects you if worst case scenario were to happen. I'm not sponsored by Dave Ramsey, but I do really like their life term insurance, or it's called term life insurance. I have decided to link it below. Also, if I have a code from them, I'll put it here. Again, not sponsored. I don't make any money as far as I'm aware of doing it, just recommending them. But if you don't know where to start, that's a good policy to look into. Sometimes you get life insurance through your husband's job. So if that's something were to happen to him, I know that that's the case for us. We get life insurance through my husband's job. So we're kind of taken care of. A common life insurance take care of you, this left behind spouse, financially for a good amount of time after your husband has passed away, if he does. Again, you might never and hopefully will never have to use the life insurance, but not having it is not worth it. And if you cannot afford life insurance, I would argue you cannot afford to take the risk of being a stay-at-home wife. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm honestly trying to just look out for you, because it's such a small fee each month that it is worth being able to not think about it. Number two, and that is that being a stay-at-home mom does not mean you are financially inactive. Being a stay-at-home mom or a homemaker or wanting to stay home primarily with your children does not mean you're not allowed to, or it's somehow mutually exclusive to, earning or saving money. Being a stay-at-home mom can actually be financially vital to your family. Not only could you be in charge of budgeting, which most people don't even do to begin with, even if they do have a job, and that itself can save you thousands each year just by you setting aside time to doing that, because you can, you're at home, right? You don't have to worry about your boss seeing you're spending time looking at your budget and figuring out all the different ways you could be saving and keeping that budget. You also get to have a lot of time to maintain your husband and yours credit by one of the main ways, which is paying off credit and paying your bills. I do want to get into credit and what it means later at some point on my channel. But basically, if you ever need to get a loan, like a mortgage or something like that, your lender will typically look at three things. They will look at your assets, your income, and your credit. And usually you need 2 out of the 3 of those to be in check in order to be granted a good rate and a mortgage. Now, in the situation like you are in, where only your husband earns income, it is very important that you maintain a good credit for both you and him in case you ever needed to get a mortgage or you want to get a better rate in the future for a mortgage. It's one of the best ways to set up both you and your husband for financial success. And you have the time to do that. You have the time to write spreadsheet, make sure you hit all your deadlines for bills, and make sure you can improve your credit and do all the things associated with that job. you have time for that. Oh, there's so many other ways that a stay-at-home mom can be financially beneficial to a family. You have time to hunt for deals. You know, working women, I know myself, I've been a working woman. You know deals exist. It's just that you often have to balance, okay, I only have so many hours in the day left over after I come home from work. What am I gonna spend those hours on? Most likely, it's not gonna be deal hunting and bothering going to the thrift store as opposed to H&M for things. You end up becoming a little bit more loose because you know you have an income and also you just have a few hours to do it. But when you're a stay-at-home mom, you have the whole day. Now, yes, the children takes up a lot of energy and planning, but you have some flexibility and wiggle room there for you to do deal hunting and strategize with your spending. Also, you can have one less car. At least that was my husband and I's strategy for lots of years. We didn't even have one car between the both of us. We were busters. Oh yeah, I know, super cool. But being a stay-at-home mom at least allows for that option. When you're a working woman, at least in America, it's very common that the family needs 2 cars. And so you could save that way. Also, you're so much more flexible with neighborhood you can live in, you know, which part of town or outside of town, because you don't have to think about the commute to both your husband and yours job, just your husband's job. I mean, realistically. So you can be way more flexible in which neighborhood you're willing to live in and save money that way as well. You get what I'm saying? Just because you're a stay-at-home mom does not mean you are financially not beneficial. So take pride in that, because that is something that can allow your family economy to actually thrive, even though you've lost one income. Another tip now for stay-at-home moms is that just because you're a stay-at-home mom or homemaker, again, it doesn't mean you need to be financially inactive. The other day, I was listening to a millionaire. She was a woman and she was a mom saying, when asked the question what she does for a living, she says, actually, I'm a full-time mom and I'm a full-time, and then she said her occupation. And that was really encouraging to hear, because you can actually be a full-time stay-at-home mom or a full-time mom and also a full-time insert occupation here. The incredible thing about being a woman is that we can multitask. We don't need to just be one thing. In fact, most of us are probably wearing 10 hats each day. And one of those hats might as well be something that earns money. You don't need to make it your full-time living. You don't need to kind of have 2 full-time jobs in the sense that you're a full-time mom and full-time something else. But here's the thing, your children only know what you're doing when they're awake, right? They know you're taking care of them and raising them, and you're with them the whole time they're awake. But as soon as nap time comes around, or as soon as the evening comes around, you can be something else. You can put on another hat, so to speak. So just because you're decided to be a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean that you can, have to lose that identity by just earning a little bit of income when your children have gone to bed or when they're at babysitters, whatever the case. I have actually always had an income the whole time I've been a homemaker. It's just been very small, and I don't define myself by work. I define myself as a stay-at-home mom, but there is nothing wrong at all with figuring out how to earn money. Now, the best way I think for stay-at-home moms to earn money and be kind of financially contributing, if you want to, I don't think we should have to. I mean, we're making sure the children stay alive, and I think that's a pretty big job. But if you do want to, contribute, or you just enjoy earning money, it's like a game for you, like it is for me anyway. Maybe that's a childish way to look at earning money, but if you want to contribute, or you just want to earn enough money to buy a couple of things that you're looking for buying, or want to improve your financial situation, the best kind of jobs for stay-at-home moms, in my opinion, are entrepreneurial jobs. Sure, if you have some sort of qualification in a field and you can work a few hours here and there, let's say you are a licensed nurse, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Go and do nursing because your wages are pretty good with that. But if the option is going and taking a random job, a minimum wage job, or, maybe not a job that's ideal, then consider becoming an entrepreneur in something you have a talent in. Open up your own business. That way you can be your own boss, and it's up to you how much work you want to put into it. Now, earning income is of course tricky, and it becomes kind of a puzzle often with entrepreneurial jobs. I have lots of examples. I have personally earned a lot more money doing things that I am in control over as opposed to working for somebody else. So being a stay-at-home mom is the perfect time of your life to start a side hustle or side business, or something you do after the kids go to bed or on the weekends or when you have a babysitter, because never in your life do you have that kind of freedom if you work for somebody else. And the great thing is, because you're not the main provider, there's not too much pressure on your business. It's not like you have to quit your job and also provide for the children kind of a thing. There's no risk involved. So you go and you do you. The only thing you're risking is the capital or initial investment, and that's not a lot to risk, if it means you can also have some financial success on the side. Another thing that I would do if I was just thinking about becoming a stay-at-home mom, or if I already am one, is I would make sure you have an big savings account. If you are currently a stay-at-home mom, but you and your husband's savings are minimal, I would make sure to fill this up as soon as possible. When you're only living on one income, and unless that one income is like really, really high, then more than likely, soon enough, there will be some sort of crisis. You know, the car breaks or needs repair, the washer and dryer breaks at the same time, your fridge stops working, the garage door stops, opening, and there you go. You have to take out credit card debt because you have to solve all of these, obviously, crises. And that will cause you to pay way too much, okay? It's already expensive to pay for a new garage door. You don't want to pay that plus the credit loan interest rate. And so what can end up happening is you end up in this financial issue really quickly if you don't have a savings account and you need to take credit to pay for things. So I recommend all stay-at-home moms don't even become a stay-at-home mom until you have at least $1,000 in your savings account, and then try to save up around 3 to 6 months worth of expenses so that if your husband lost his job for, let's say, up to 6 months, then at least you would be able to cover the expenses and you would not be as stressed and he would not be as depressed because you could take care of yourself during that time. That's what we've done. We've always made sure to have a good buffer in our savings so that if the worst thing were to happen, at least we have something to cover all the expenses. The next thing is to have a folder or a written down detailed plan of what you are going to do in the worst case scenario. Now, this might mean different things for different people, whether it's divorce or a spouse passing away. I'm not trying to get too cynical here, but here's the thing. Just like having life insurance makes it possible for you to lay down your head on your pillow and not have to think about at least that aspect, having a plan gives you a similar kind of comfort. It calms down your fears because if the worst thing were to happen, let's say your husband were to divorce you, which let's hope he never does, and I'm personally not afraid of that, but let's say that is a fear of yours, then you would have a thick folder with written down detailed plans of not only how you're going to make ends meet and how the first few years would look like and where you would live, but you might even have a career path down because let's face it, if you've been married and a stay-at-home mom for like 2 decades and all of a sudden there is no more, husband providing, you're going to be in a tough situation. You're going to be in a pickle because here you have 20 years of no work experience. You're already older and limited in your capabilities, and you have to not just survive, but provide for children as well. You get what I'm saying. It's a recipe for disaster if you don't have a plan. But ladies, we do have a plan, so we're okay. Again, this plan is something I take very lightly because I doubt I will ever want to divorce my husband personally without getting too personal. But you never know what the other spouse is going to do. And so it's good to just take precaution. And even if it's just for your own sanity, even if it's just, calm yourself down, it's worth making a folder like that. Now to my next tip, and that is to have a will and to have all the names on your assets. I'll leave a link below to where you can write your will if you feel overwhelmed or don't even know what a will is. A will is basically just saying if I am to pass, who's to take care of my possessions, who's to inherit what. You might be fine without one if you are to pass, but it just takes the extra stress left out of the situation from the spouse that's left behind. The other thing you want to make sure you do is that let's say you own a house, let's say you own multiple houses, let's say you have rental properties, let's say you have cars, whatever the assets, a boat. You want to make sure that you are on the title as the woman who's not working. Again, this can work together with or despite having a will, but basically if something were to happen, you own that thing 50%. The funny thing is on this house right now, currently, I'm actually the only one on title between my husband and I, because I bought this without him being even in the country. I'm not saying to necessarily go that far, but it just makes you feel safe that, what, I own this house too. And it's an asset to your name. The banks will like seeing your name on it. They will like seeing the share responsibility and that you have assets to your name. You have kind of net worth, so to speak. Now, my last tip on how to thrive as a stay-at-home mom, financially anyway, is to develop proven skills over the years. You might never be interested at all in working or having a side hustle or a side gig, and that's entirely legitimate in my opinion. Being a stay-at-home mom is a job in and of itself. I think it is a sort of career path because you do kind of contribute financially even though you're not directly earning. Ooh. I think that's an Amazon order. So minor crisis off camera, I broke the teacup, but it's not gonna stop me, okay? I kind of want to cry. Not gonna lie, that did rhyme, but we're gonna continue. You wanna have a proven financial skill on the side when you are a stay-at-home mom. This is just so that if you ever need to go back to work, or if your husband somehow cannot provide for you anymore, regardless what the cause is, you have a proven financial skill. And the reason I say proven financial skill and not just proven skill is that you might very well have talents. You might very well be the best painter there is, knitter there is, laundress there is. What do you call somebody who works with laundry? A laundromat? No, I would never call myself a laundromat. What is that actually? Oh, I can't think of it. But it needs to be proven to make money. Some people have talents that are desirable, they are wanted, they're needed, and they're so much needed that they could actually make money on them, and even they still kind of make money on their hobby. But you need to be able to know that if you were to scale that hobby, that it can earn enough money to take care of you. That does not mean you need to be, working if you don't want to. It doesn't mean you need to use that skill. You just need to know, I could scale this hobby, or I could use this as my portfolio if I ever need to get a job in this field. For example, I make money on YouTube. That does not mean that if I were to scale it, that I could make money full-time on YouTube. So I don't consider that a proven skill. However, being able to market yourself on YouTube and grow a YouTube channel, work with brands, that is actually something that I could use to apply for marketing jobs. Now, would I get hired for a marketing job? I don't know. Who would hire me? I don't know. I would not hire me. Or maybe I would actually. I need to think about that more. I think I would hire me. But you need to kind of take stock of what are your talents and which one of your talents make money or could make money if you ever needed to, and then make sure to maintain that talent throughout the years. Whether it is by working a few hours here and there for people you know, or it's building up a portfolio, doing some work for free. It's basically just a way for you to give you some credibility if you ever do need to get back into the work market. Just think of it from an employer's perspective. Here you are, you have a resume, and maybe you even have an education, but it was 20 years ago, and during the last 20 years you've been home with your children, and so there's a huge gap in your resume. You basically want to fill that gap up with something credible, something legitimate, something that gives you credibility if you ever are to need to get a job. That was not a good sentence. Again, it's not that you have to be financially active. It is just that if you ever needed to fill out your resume, would there be a huge gap there? How can you fill that gap with something that makes you desirable to an employer if you ever needed to? For most moms, this will look like a side business, or, your own small company or business, or, small business. Or it might look like, here and there doing work for clients, or even doing work for free, but you have a portfolio to show for your skill. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's better to have something than nothing. You just need to think from an employer's perspective. If 20 years from now you need a job, what do you want that job to be in? What do you want your resume to say? Now, the thing is that, which is brilliant about resumes, is that you don't really need to do that thing full time. You actually don't even hardly need to do it at all. You just need to have done something. So have some sort of proven skill in your talent that you could at least fill a resume with, so that you stand a chance if 20 years from now you decided, I need to go to work now for whatever reason. It might never come to that, but do you want to be thinking about that 20 years down the road, or do you want to pre-think about it now? Those were some of the ways you can set yourself up for financial success. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to learn how to save money and you're a woman and you just want to, you want to have tailored tips to make your wallet behave. And subscribe. Also, like this video. If you can get 200 likes at some point in the future, I will feel validated. Check out these 2 videos, which of course is on money. What else would it be about on this channel? And tell me, which of the tips are you going to apply?